Heated exchanges like that between the press and the president have ramped up in recent weeks, but so has something else: the media's willingness to fact-check the president and call him out when needed. In fact, CNN is going so far as to fact-check the president in real time. From the beginning, it's been a damned if you do, damned if you don't carry this president live.
If they refuse, it's going to be, see, they're all biased. It's all fake news.
In fact, networks rarely, if ever, refuse to take a presidential address or press conference live. But this week, CNN rolled out a new element: real-time fact-checking.
He wrote something that was total fiction.
As the president was speaking, CNN incorporated graphics to refute the president's accusations about the whistleblower.
Well, if you look at the whistleblower's complaint, it's totally inaccurate.
You could listen to that, then read. The whistleblower had direct knowledge of certain alleged conduct, and he received information from government officials. And since the president relies on the same talking points day after day, the same graphic came in handy again.
The whistleblower report. Didn't he say 7 or 8 times, I said quid pro quo? In other words, you're going to do this or you're not going to get money.
And on claims about the Biden family's dealings in Ukraine, the graphic says there's no evidence Joe Biden sought to get a former Ukrainian prosecutor removed from any particular case. And no evidence Hunter Biden was ever under investigation. Still, no matter what you do, someone's got to question it.
Why in the world would the networks run Donald Trump's address tonight when we know that Donald Trump is going to be using it to spread these lies?
It's getting harder and harder to justify. I think that's the point of this. It is getting harder and harder. Last week, Callie, you were saying, well, we don't have to carry them in real time. We don't have to carry it live. In fact, I was a little confused this week. I thought maybe CNN had taped it and put those blurbs up afterwards because they reran it a few times. But there's a danger in this, too, I think, too, because if you're so definitive in cryptic fact-checking on a screen, you can be, the Biden thing in Ukraine is a little complicated, and, they can leave themselves open for criticism, I fear.
Well, they can, and I think the media is just struggling. We don't know what to do about the blizzard of falsehoods that come tumbling out of the president's mouth. And I think an awful lot of the fact-checking, quite frankly, falls on deaf ears because this is all tribal at this point. His supporters look at the fact-checking as just more evidence of how much the mainstream media hates him. It's a very difficult problem. And I'll tell you something else. Monmouth did a poll this week that showed 43% believed that the Bidens were up to no good in Ukraine and 38% believed that they were not. So the president's tactics are working.
Mm-hmm. I think it's getting easier in some ways to fact check in real time because, as you pointed out, he's using the same lies over and over again. I think that there was a little bit of a precedent set. CNN and others were changing their chirons.
Yeah.
I can never pronounce that word.
That's all right.
And just saying this isn't true or not true. And so you saw some of it there. This is the first time we've seen a whole graphic that really refutes point by point. But I think it's necessary. Unfortunately, the people who most need to see that fact-checking aren't watching CNN.
That's a really good point. I also think that even for people who might benefit from it, who might be unclear on the details, it's a lot to process visually. To be listening on the one hand, I don't want to show my age here. My daughter will probably make fun of me for saying this is difficult to do, but be listening to the president's words and then looking at multiple pieces of text and trying to toggle back and forth. Yeah, it's a lot, especially when you're dealing with a situation as complex as what Hunter Biden was up to in Ukraine. So I respect the intent, but I'm not sure that this is the silver bullet.
And they also used 2/3 of the screen to do it, so it was like the president was pushed to the side.
Well, I would like to see them try to simplify, and I know you just said all of these things are more complex, so you actually need more rather than less. But I'm wondering if it can almost be bulleted just a little bit more straightforward with some points highlighted. For example, Trump approved Inspector General says, you know what I'm saying? There's some things to underscore that people keep saying everybody's out to get him. No, you put these people in office and they have said this is wrong. Yeah. So certain pieces of the stuff that he keeps saying that really needs to be underscored. I don't know that it's possible because again, we're talking about layers of complexity, but just a few of the things that he keeps punching out that if they're going to do it, that they come back with something that's a little bit briefer, so that it's maybe not so hard to read the thing. I wouldn't give up on it yet. I think it's important for people to see this is what we're all facing. You know, this is a guy who is saying something that can be refuted by other documents and by other people who know the facts, and we're just trying to let you know.
It can also promote the theory that they're biased, that they're unfair.
I understand that.
This is one of those things that maybe plays better in print, in online print than it does here. You can annotate stories in real time online. You can use Medium. There are a host of other free apps that let you do that, but it's harder to do that when you're talking about something visual like broadcast.
I'm just wrapping my mind around Adam begging old age as an excuse here.
I
thought pop-up video was our generation, Adam.